What up, everybody? Scuff D here, and it's time to join a cult. And before we get started, big thanks to everybody who has supported the channel, subscribed, liked. If you haven't done so, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the video. I've gotten a lot of requests for decks, and I'm trying to get working on some things that maybe you haven't seen or haven't seen enough of. So look for more of those to come, and let's get to it. The best way I can sum up, we're going to do Kor-Phaeron. We're going to do a Kor-Phaeron deck video today, and this guy is Master of the Faith. He's a cultist machine, and I am trying to explore all the different avenues for the cultists that have been added thanks to the Titan Death expansion. So this next leg, we've got Kor-Phaeron. Now, I'm really disappointed, kind of upset a little bit that I did not pick up two key cards yet from the Titan Death expansion, which I think would really just help this out a ton. And those are both the Chaos mission, the Sacrificial Pawn, just seems natural with this deck, as well as the wonderfully aptly named delicious epic card, Blessing of the Four, which is just going to happen regardless of the game here. So these are two cards that I'm keeping my eye out for. If I get them, this deck will be revised, but also I think I may just do a few different variants of this deck, because I think I'm not there yet. No, don't get me wrong, I'm not there yet, but I think I'm on the verge of actually doing this. I'm actually pulling off the Chosen of the Gods. I don't want to do Chosen of the Gods, though, because the reward does nothing for the actual rest of the objective of the mission. But, I mean, I think I'm there where I could at least show that it can be done, and then show that it's like, it's not great, like when I did with the original Iron Hands vehicle mission, which was changed, and I think is a better play now. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, but regardless, here's the deal. Kor-Phaeron puts in play a random 2-cost cultist, and now there are so many. There are so many 2-cost cultists, right? We've got, it's got to be 2 costs. You're not going to lose value, so you're not going to get Preacher of Doom for free. But you can get the Cultist Acolyte, you can get the Fire Cultist, you can get Horus Cultist, you can get the Righteous Zealot, you can get Cygnus Disciple, Cygnus Fanatic, you can get Undercover Cultist. That's a variety of cultists to choose from. And then how you go about using them really is the rest of the word bearer situation, right? You've got your cards that sacrifice, you've got cards that work with infantry and Astartes, you've got ways to gain demon host, you've got ways to make demons. This is a token deck to the extreme. The word bearers were one of the first factions really where we could say, wow, it's a token faction. And I think since then we've seen Defenders of Caliban do it on an even bigger scale, but the word bearers are really ones to take us there first, and this deck kind of harkens back to that. And if you get going, you really get going. So let's show a game to show what we're talking about, and then we'll break down the deck. Okay, so how about token v token, right? This could be interesting. We're going to keep Camille here. This is pretty devastating to structure board. I always have to remind myself that Camille is a little tricky when it deals. It's like 7 splash and then 2, or 4 and then 5, potentially. So we've got cards that we can play instead of using my ability, and because I can get these cards out, that'll make him not use his ability. And if he's not using his ability to make things, then I'm coming out ahead, because that's the whole thing with Camba Diaz. Camba Diaz is not supposed to be taking a step backwards. He's taking steps backwards as of this turn going forward. And then we really just get going, right? Like, let's bring down Jadimus. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you bring down Jadimus? Camba Diaz, you got a nice no token board to my 4 token board. Now these are all very weak. They're all very flimsy. That's entirely possible. That is the downside of the cultists, right? Of the word bearers in general. But that's why I've got this card here, Darnith Squad, because I'm going to have so many, ideally, that I can get some longevity out of the ones that I have. That's probably, I would say, the best opening play. You could probably get one a little bit better, maybe. But yeah, that's from there you just profit. Now that's a quick like concede game, but when you're making Diaz concede, feels good. And I hate to say that from an Imperial Fist fanboy, but I mean, like, Camba Diaz decks give Imperial Fist a bad name. So here's the deck. Here's the idea. And there's a lot of stuff in the 4-drop, but really we've got cultists that we're playing from Kor-Phaeron. Ideally, every turn that we can. Now, he's got low initiative, so you're going to get that counterattack a lot of times, which makes your next troop cost 1 less, which is why I've got Sword Backpaw and some good 4-drops that I can bring on my second turn. I can play Sword Backpaw as a 3-drop, but Sethalon comes out at 3, Darnith, Jadamus, Ashen Circle is really not what I'm going to throw out right away, but those 3 are there, very good. Otherwise, I can play my ability, or I could play even where they have the Zesical squad, use a counterattack and throw down a Bortle squad, and now I've got 4 2 attack troops plus 1 that has a backlash to really put pressure down, spread things out. And then instead of having 3 units that my opponent has to deal with on turn 1, they've got 4 plus a backlash that I can follow up with a Sword Backpaw. So it's really a way to combo and just get that fast out hard. And you really want to get troops that have got some sort of way to create additional troops, or that are buffing additional troops. And that's where Preacher of Doom comes in, obviously, because then if I've got him on hand, if I'm worried about burning out my hand because I dropped 3 cards, I've got a Preacher of Doom. Every one of those 2 attack zealots that dies goes and makes me a cultist, which I am then generating in addition to Kor-Phaeron's ability. Cygnus Fanatic just seems like one of the best cultists out there, all in all. Terran Reality, because we have so many tokens, I've actually got 2 in here. Plus, with my ability, I always have a troop. So at the very least, for 4 energy, I can use my ability and then Terran Reality. I gain a troop back in my deck. Granted, it's a cultist, but they lose a random troop off of the board. Then you've got the Fanatical Zeal, just as a one-of to heal those low health troops. You've got Ashen Circle, because you are going to be able to use that rally effect most of the time, if not every time. For 6 energy onward, you absolutely can, right? And this is typically 5 to a troop plus the sacrifice, which deals 2. But don't forget, this actually has fast, not flank, so you could at 6 energy deal 5 to face to win the game, in addition to whatever else you've got on the table. Darnith squad, as you saw, this is why I've got these guys in here. If you play them right, they come out as a 4/6. A 4/6 that buffs the rest of the board as well, and typically will make your opponent not want to return them back to your hand. At 6 energy, you can use your ability, drop the Darnith squad, and buff your board. At 4 energy, kill something that's already there and buff the board. Jadamus feels like a given. Sethalon is just there to really okay, I can make a zealot, 2 zealots with the Sethalon and my Kor-Phaeron, and you've burned out a lot of troop hate maybe on this early game. Now comes the big fat late game. And then we are taking advantage of some splash damage. Some defensive satellites. This card could be a better card, I'm not going to lie. Why is it the only premium card in this deck? I've got premium cards in here. I'm not happy with it. But I did find that it's handy. Camille, not as effective with the splash. It has some splash, but not as effective with the splash. And I don't want an Informant Network in here, because that just, get rid of stealth, but I want splash. And I want board-wide splash. And if I'm doing board-wide splash with defensive satellites, theoretically, what this does is this takes care of troops that I don't have to attack with my troops. And then these troops can attack the enemy warlord, therefore moving me ahead. Because once you're trading weenies for whatever your opponent's got, you're in a losing game, because you will run out of weenies. Even with Cygnus Demagogue in your deck, right? An Insurgent Leader. Now, these 2 cultists are the big bad boys, and really, you know what? I'm going to take out the Insurgent Leader 1. And I'll tell you why. Because I have found, even though I've got many, many cultists to put in play, getting these two guys off is a lot harder. It's a lot harder than it looks. And what I would recommend, and what I'm going to do right now, actually, take out one, just do 1 and 1. And you know what? I'll take out a Cephalon. I'll even take out a Cephalon here. Because I feel like, really, why wouldn't you throw in the new wonderful, where are they at? Where are you at? I'm scrolling past them, I know I am. Are they 3 costs? I thought the dark red new. These guys are cultists, and they heal for full and gain +1 when you put in play a chaos infantry. Heal 2, not for full, but you get the idea. So you get longevity out of these guys, plus you've got ways to attack. Now, Architect of Heresy is basically your hard removal, bounce, or steal if you can. Obviously, this deck is way heavy on troops, more so than tactics, but the idea is to burst and hit the board. If you want to tweak it a little bit, you could get rid of a couple, and I would not get rid of too many, but get rid of like two troops down here, and then throw in either the hard removal option or possibly some better tactics that are going to help you draw, like Dark Oratory. This isn't a bad card, especially when you have a board full of troops, but the problem with it is then you're playing this to draw and you're not using your ability to make more troops. So let's take a couple look at a couple more games, and then I'll go into a few more card options that you could consider depending on which way you want to go, as well as some harder issues with the deck. Okay, so we just talked about how I didn't want to include Stealth, Hate, Informant Network in the deck, and then we're faced up with a matchup where the Agents of Sigillant have a lot of stealthy stuff, right? It's true, they do. But the trick is to just, with anything, I don't know how else to say it, like, it's just to warm them up. Like, he didn't use his ability there, so let's go ahead and pump this up here. Like, you know, he could theoretically clear both these. It looks like he's going to clear one, get the other, but he wastes that tactic on this. I can throw out the demon. I think I'm gonna use my ability and throw down Preacher of Doom, and then I draw Bordeaux Squad. It's like, well, you know what? We'll save that, because now we're gonna have a couple infantry options. We can throw down Sword Backpole next turn. I'm glad that got buffed. He didn't use his ability, so he doesn't have a Psionic Fury generated. Was it Psionic Fury? What's it called here? Rubio. Yeah, Psionic Fury. And that's fine. I can take that. I can take that very nicely. We've got, look at cultists here. This is what we do. We filled the cultists. Please, thank you for killing my troops and giving me more. I like it very much. And we're going to throw some bodies down here, because why not? Now, he can kill this guy. It's going to get me a demon. He can kill any of these guys. It's going to get me troops. I'm working, baby. I'm working. Like, bounce something, please. That was probably the best bounce that he could come up with, and even then, that just delays what I'm going to do to him on this next turn. We've got Cygnus Demagogue, which then can make me more cultists. Like, we've got a lot of ways to go here. This is what tokens do. Now, he's playing pretty good to counter the tokens as best as he can. It's not good enough. It's not going to be good enough, because then we'll just make some more. Like, why not? And I put him down here because, well, that was lucky to get the buff, but really, as a 5 health troop, that makes it basically he has to attack for face, and then he can maybe play the Bror, Tearfinger, to generate a seal. All the while, which I think is what he does here, all the while, like, he's got 5 cards in hand. I've got a total of 9 cards with my draw, 6 energy up. We've got ways to splash. We've got ways to slash. We've got ways to, like, just overwhelm the board with the cheap troops. And we like this. I hate using this as a flanker, but ultimately what this does is I still have it alive on the board, so he still has to figure out a way to deal with it. He has to take 5, or he has to do damage or something like that. So he's fishing for a seal, and I won't lie, Seal of the Sisterhood would wreck a board if I got a bunch of weenies out there. He plays it way too early. Like, he should have saved it. I don't know what he was thinking. He should have made himself a seal, taken 2 damage. And, yeah, I'll happily thank the Sigilant for that, because this means nothing to me. He really should have saved it for this following turn. And let's get going. Let's use our ability. I could have used the ability. We'll just go with a big bump, right? So a single Informer network won't kill 2 things. Like, what's the best you got? You got nothing. We got demons, we got cultists. It's all income. This is just, it's just fun token work. I really had fun building this deck and seeing it work. And with the new cultists added, especially with Preacher of Doom, there's just a lot of new goodness. There's a lot of new goodness that does things now with the way that the cultists synergize. And I really, again, can't stress, I really want to get that mission, because I think it just goes perfectly with this deck. I think if you've already got the mission, find a way to squeeze it in. And then, you know, if you haven't already been doing that, geez, if you've been doing that, and I'm sure you already know what's up, yeah, we don't lose anything here. Like, we gain, all we do is gain. Like, this is all gains. Seal of the Sisterhood would wreck, but he wasted it. He wasted it early, and we've gained, and we've lost nothing. He got a seal. It's just not the one he wants. So, yeah, when you have a deck that works like it's supposed to, you feel like everything's synergized, like cultists finally have a leg up. That's pretty cool. That's a nice feeling. I won't lie. I won't lie. I'm gonna throw down a Wounded Zealot. Why not? Right? You gotta assert dominance when you run a cult full of demons and whatnot. You gotta assert dominance here. And to his credit, he is doing the best he can to hold out till tomorrow. But sorry, Malkador's agents, it's not gonna work this time around. And then we'll just wrap it up. So that's one game here. That's one game here. Now, what if you are facing an opponent who has got board control? And when I say board control, now there's a lot of warlords out there that can board control. There's Titans. Okay. All right. Well, let's go get another one. Let's do it. Let's do it to it. Shall we? What we got here? This one is deal 8 to an enemy and 4 to adjacent. Doing that twice, huh? Okay. Damage to an enemy 3 times. Okay. It's a random enemy? Alright, what we got here? This will be gnarly. Yep. So we've got a way to make tokens if this survives. Ooh, that's rough. That hurts me. That makes me sad. Okay. All right, let's get going. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. And then let's go ahead and then flank Rooney. Okay. All right. Wow, we might actually get off the insurgent leader this game. Like, we might just get some cultist diamond and throw him out there, get some cultist brutes. Let's see what we can do. And then we gotta go face. We gotta really start going face. Like, that's really where we gotta start going. That's a waste. When he's doing that, he's getting rid of these 2 units, sure. I'm taking 8, but, like, that, the fact that he used that, he couldn't load this, like, he's gonna have to, right? He's loading it up? Okay. Alright. Let's go. Let's go. Face. 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 Stun. Stun. There we go. Yep, that's fair. That's fair. I'm going to leave that if I can, because that's one less troop that he can throw down. Right? Okay, so then, do we do this here? Cultist, cultist, cultist. Then we've got 2 cultists that are attacking here. 3 damage that it's overload once it attacks. You know what? Let's go ahead and stun that. And then go there. Alright, and then let's go ahead and go, actually, there we go. Stun that. Go there. Very nice. Pump it. And pump it. And pump it. What you got? What you got? Suddenly things are looking not as strong. And he can bring out 1 troop. Like, feel free to load and fire and kill something, but I've got lots of beefs now that are going to get beefier, and we haven't even used our damage stuff. Like, this is good. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you. More brutes. More brutes, please. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, it's alright. You don't know, Crably. You're dead. Oh yeah, boy. That's what we're doing. That's how we do it. We get strong. I think he knows it. I think he knows what's up. This is Castigator Titan. Not, you know, it's not Sabras. It's not the Chaos one. But yeah, here we go. We get going and we hit hard. And now he's just like counted down. This is a live game to try out the new the couple tweaky changes. I likey. I likey. Okay. First off, let's just hit for 2. Let's hit for 2. Let's hit for 5 and 2. And then let's go ahead and hit for 6. And then let's go ahead and hit for 6. And let's win this game. Let's fucking win. Let's, you know what? Assert dominance. I normally don't flex, but when I do, it's with all my Chaos Brutes. So, good game. You tried. You tried and you died. So, Cultists, baby, bringing down Titans. It can happen. It's a reality. What do we do about it? What do we do with this deck? What are we options? What are the options if you don't want to include all the Cultists? Then you're doing a different deck. Don't do the mission. I don't think the payoff for this mission, and when I say the payoff for this mission, what you need to know is you're like, oh, you can achieve the mission, but at what cost? What's the point of the mission? This mission here rewards you with the, where it is, there's all it, the voice of truth, right? Resolution, put in play a lesser demon. That's it. It doesn't do you anything with your cultist. The only cultists that you've got here that actually do anything with demons are the ones that you're generating backlash style with Cygnus Acolyte. Doesn't do anything for your infantry, doesn't put in play cultists or anything like that. So scrap it. Don't do that. However, you could do, like I said, you could do Dark Oratory. I thought about initially Core Tactical Squad just because it's another way to get cultists, but the sacrifice is just not great. This is just not a good card. It doesn't come out effective. And for 2 energy for a troop that can maybe make a cultist, I can just play my ability and make a cultist. So what's the point of that? Also, Torgal Squad as a 3-drop, as one of those 3-drops that you can use with the counterattack and play turn 1. That's an option. That's really an option if you want to tweak you don't want to use Daranoth, you can use Torgal, but Daranoth really does have synergy. If this comes out and you're using it right, it's a 4/6 for 4 and has buffed your board. And your board could be just 2 troops, it could be 4. You never know. Harbingers of Chaos is not a card I'd recommend doing here because this just gives Demon Host to your Astartes and troops. Doesn't give any buffs. The Demon Host comes out, if you're lucky, the best you can get is Survivor. And on some of your cultists, you actually don't want that because Survivor will prevent their backlash ability. So it's just not a good card. Sethlin Squad, double up on Sethlin. Malner Veterans, I know, is the old tried and true card that you would draft when you're doing events with Core, because at 8 energy, basically, you're putting in a bunch of stuff. Or at at 7 energy, right, you've got a Sethlon Squad down, then you play Malner Veterans, and then use the Sethlon Squad's ability, and you've got 3/3, 2 3/3s with Frontline. But this is too costly. Like, if you want to do a traditional Word Bearers deck, you could do it. That would be kind of part of your closing plan, but it's costly and it's slow. At that point, you might as well just be playing Dark Martyr and hoping it gets Ward when it sticks, because that's really what it's about. You're not going to have a whole bunch of Astartes, so Sortolgron is not really necessary. So you're really going low-cost cards that you can play multiples of or play in addition to having your cultist ability on demand with Kor-Phaeron. You could consider Escape Vents. You could also consider the new card Clandestine Cult. Now, the reason I don't have Clandestine Cult in my Kor-Phaeron deck, because I thought about it. I tried it out in a couple other decks, and some decks it works, but I'm not playing cultists from hand all the time. Sometimes I'm just using my ability, and my ability will not benefit from playing this card. So Escape Vent, if you're looking to find a way to make your cultist stick a little bit longer, that's one way to go about it. Gosh, I really want that mission, dude. Once I get that mission, this deck is going to go up a notch. Also, then, I would probably say in terms of other, like, tactics or things that, like, I wouldn't put a cultist sorcerer in my deck, but I did toy with the idea of a Corrupted Arcology. I think Corrupted Arcology could be very fun and very thematic. I think that's completely an option. The problem is, again, we get into that high cost range where you're playing a thing that doesn't attack, that puts in play a cultist, but you shouldn't have a problem having a board full by then. Really, like, as you saw in the last game, I mean, that's just things get going. Like, you shouldn't have a problem getting that. If anything, you should have a problem dealing with your opponent trying to race you in the board state. And that's where those few splash damages, like if you're going to get rid of defensive satellites, then consider Artillery Strike, maybe Informa Network at best. I just don't like Informa Network with this deck. I think it's wasted time addressing stealth. You've got to go phase. You definitely got to have those Preachers of Doom, though. That's great. If you don't have Preachers of Doom, maybe then dial back a little bit on your infantry element of the deck, because that's part of what I built this around, was to get more troops from Demagogue, Insurgent Leader, and Preacher of Doom going off in addition to everything I've got on the board. So if you are missing one of those integral pieces, then you need to change things up. Now, One thing I have got to tout here as I've got this deck has got 3 legendaries. You've got Architect of Heresy, you've got Crit the Sed, and you've got Sword Backpaw. This is a very budgety deck. A lot of rare cards, absolutely. There's tons of rare cards in here. And as far as epics go, there's 2. There's Ashen Circle. That's it. So you could definitely budget things out. If you don't have an Ashen Circle, consider a Vorax, some other method of flanking or fasting. Maybe a Goldstone Hunters, but I feel like Goldstone Hunters is kind of meh. I'm only thinking of it because Preacher of Doom, Goldstone Hunters dies, I get a Cultist in my hand. Maybe, but it doesn't feel as good where I feel like Vorax has a little bit more punch and possibly double duty, which is what Ashen Circle is serving, both in the flanking and splashing for 2 or just straight up fasting for 5. I've only got one Cephalon squad now here because we did that quick little change with the Dark Retinue, but if you don't have Dark Retinue, then just double up on Cephalon squad. Like, this is a cool card. I'm looking forward to it paying and dividends, because there's so many. When you get this many cultists on the board, as you saw in that last game, like your opponent, like what do? They deal with 1, they make more cultists. They cut off, it's almost very Alpha Legion like, but I mean, you get rid of 1 cult, another cult springs up over here. Now this cultist is stronger. Who do you get rid of first? And if they're worried about all those other troops, then they're not focused on your warlord, and that's when you get ahead. And that's really the whole point of token decks. That's the whole point of this deck. So I hope this has inspired you. It's a non-mission, non-neutral mission, non-Blessings of the 4, and when I get that card, it's going to take this deck up a notch, to 2 notches, to 3 Marks of Chaos notches, and I'm looking forward to that. But until then, I hope this has inspired you. I hope it's given you some insight as to maybe a way to play Kor-Phaeron. If you have been using Kor-Phaeron yourself and there's some cultist cards that I'm not using that you thought of, let me know. Put it in the comments below, send me a shout out. And otherwise, till next time, keep playing Legions. Bye.